you could scan 100 products, but you might only buy one or two. Same thing with POD. You could put up 100 listings, but you only buy one or two. But there's no problem with scanning because we're not putting out any money. Same thing with creating a listing with POD. It's like, hey, I'm not putting out any money.
I am very analytical, data heavy. I feel like that's where me and Common first kind of connected. We were at a Las Vegas trade show. We talked, we sat down. I think that's where the friendship kind of blossomed, and just seeing how he thought of the business and analyzed it. And it was like, he was really heavy into the data, and just like picking a product was more of a process than just like grab something off the shelf and throw it in a box and test it out. And I feel the same way. There is like a difference in pulling the trigger in private label because there is some money up front. And the mental shift for me when I switched over to almost full POD, I think is an interesting one. And I like to have those conversations here to help more people add POD to their business. If you start this POD journey, getting listings up is like the most important thing, more than like selecting the correct market or the correct keyword or the correct art. Like letting the market decide is almost a complete opposite of how I ran our OA, RA, wholesale, private label business. That mental shift, I think, is something that we will do together. But I just wanted to open this time up for like any questions that you have. I want to address them up front. And then most of this series, I would assume, is going to be on how we actually doing the data, how we actually doing the analytics, how are we gathering the keywords, how are we using the keywords. I think that's something that people are very interested in. I have a lot of people reaching out to me. I jump on calls with them. I really enjoy that, but I wanted to be able to do a series where two analytical people can kind of break down the business, where you're not starting from scratch, you're just adding this to your business so you have a level of understanding, but we're just tweaking it and applying it slightly different. I think that mind shift is something that it will help more people than just like me and you and figuring out how to grow our businesses.
I want to piggyback off your mind shift thing because me and Steven have talked for a while, and that is something that's really different. And what I used to think of it was like, hey, putting up a listing for POD is the same thing as buying an RA product. Like, hey, I have to make sure all the metrics are there. I have to make sure that I'm not restricted. It's not hazmat. I got to follow all these rules before I actually buy the product. And I think a mind shift for me for POD was actually creating a listing is actually equivalent to scanning a product for RA, or processing a price list for wholesale. You know, like it doesn't, when I scan, it doesn't cost me any money. I just got to figure out, okay, like, is this good or not? For POD, that's the same thing, but it's shifted to a listing. So like you could scan 100 products, but you might only buy one or two. Same thing with POD. You could put up 100 listings, but you only buy one or two. But there's no problem with scanning because we're not putting out any money. Same thing with creating a listing with POD. Is like, hey, I'm not putting out any money, so might as well either scan as many products as I want, or put up as many listings as I want, or in wholesale process as many price lists as I want, because hey, you know, it's a numbers game almost, where like I got to put more out there. So
that's
that was
very interesting. I like that a lot.
And that kind of helped me. Where like, oh shoot, am I creating this design correctly? Am I picking the letters right? Is this the right font before I put it up? Versus like, just put it up, you know, like just throw it out there, see where it lands, see where it doesn't. And then after I get sales data, that will tell me is equivalent to, okay, is this an ROI? The ROI match? Like that's almost the part where like, okay, should I actually start investing in it, you know? And the investment part, and this is what Steven talks about before, about the doubling down part of a design is equivalent to me actually buying an RA product. Like now I'm putting resources in, I'm telling designers to be like, hey, you know, make a lot of these designs. These designs are going to take a lot more time than you just throwing stuff up, and then analyze everything and then put in the time and the effort and even some of the money up front of like, because I got to pay for these designs now too, you know, versus like me just throwing stuff up just to see if it works.
I like that. I like that a lot.